Hey guys, my name's Skippy from Geek Hammer Gaming, and I'm back with another faction focus review. I am busting through all this, getting ready for 10th edition. I am so excited because we're talking about an army that I wanted to see how they came out because I'm very curious how they're going to play on the table, as there's unlike anything else in the game. And of course, we're talking about big stompy robots themselves, the Imperial Knights. As a son of chaos, I got to take what I can get and look at their rules for today. But you know what? I get a lot of the baseline profiles and I get the idea. So we'll be able to look at all this and see how the big stompy robots are going to fare in the new edition. It's great that we have a faction like this that's just like, take like 6 models, go to town, go nuts, and just stomp some people to death. I love that this army as a general rule exists in the game, and I cannot wait to see if they can hold their own in the new edition. So let's look at some rules. So let's talk about the Imperial Knights rule, the Code Chivalric. If your army is Imperial Knights, at the end of the read mission objective set, you must select one of the oaths below for active for your army. So first of all, you get an option, which I love. So it's not, you're not locked into one in your army list. You get to pick every game. Models from your army with this ability gain the associated oath ability, and you gain the associated deed to complete. If at the start of any of your command phases you selected oath's deed is completed, your army becomes honored for the rest of the battle and you gain 3 CP. You can only gain CP this way once per battle. So you have a few set of rules that help you out. You get a deed that you must do to basically fulfill your code. And then when you do that, you become honored and you get an extra set of rules to help you out and great ways to make your army run. So the two options are lay low the tyrant. The oath abilities, each time the model is selected, shoot or fight, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. A great rule for big stompy models like this. Rerolling hits and wounds of 1 is a big deal. Like, that's a lot of attacks, big attacks that you're rerolling, and against a lot of smaller stuff, you're going to be wounding on 2s and 3s most of the time because your stuff is very, very strong. So that's a big thing to have, and I am a giant fan. The deed is, this deed is completed if the enemy warlord is destroyed. This one's a little tough to do because especially in most armies, your warlord is going to be a little guy hiding behind a lot of stuff. It'll be interesting, but this would be a good one to do if you're facing a big monster army, like say demons and like Bellicor standing across the field. Like, let's go ahead and shoot him and get that warlord kill as quick as we can. Reclaim the Realm is the other ability you get to choose if you so desire. So the oath abilities, you get to add 1 inch to this model's move characteristic and 1 inch to the advance and charge rolls made for this model. That is, let's fly up the board and do a bunch of damage as quick as we can. It's great for a melee-based army. Wow, let's be aggressive. Be aggressive. So the deed you have to do is this deed is completed if you control 1 or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone. Whoa, that's rough. Knights are fast, and knights can get over there, but literally stomping your way to their home field objective is gonna be rough. That's a tough deed to do, but it might be worth it to throw a couple guys into their lines to make sure that you get this done because some of the honored abilities are really good. So the detachment you have is the Noble Lance, and the rule you get is Indomitable Heroes. All Imperial Knight models from your army have the Feel No Pain 6+ ability. Already pretty good on big giant stomping models with a ton of wounds. But if your army is honored, those models have the Feel No Pain 5+ ability. Oh yeah, that's making you survive some things. So having a 5+ Feel No Pain army wide for doing one of these codes is a big deal. It'll be very curious to see if you can build an army that kind of plays either way depending on what you want to do and make sure they get into their deeds done to make sure you get that 5+. It'll be a really great late game when you make it happen, and I hope it really works out for them because I love this rule. It's a big deal for them. So let's look at some data sheets. We're going to look at the Armiger Warglaive first, which is your little guy. You have 3 classes of knights. You have little guys, medium guys, and big guys, and these are the little ones. So 12-inch move, already zooming fast. T10, which is a rhino toughness on a little guy, so it seems pretty on average. 3-up save, 12 wounds, leadership 7, objective controlled 8. Objective control 8. That's an 8 on there. I know they had this basic rule in the last edition where they had objective control 5, and then they got up to 8 when they're honored. But just having 8 base that's a lot. That's a lot. Take some melee guys, chop a couple guys on the objective, and all of a sudden you're stealing objectives with one giant stomping model. I love that they have objective controlled 8. That makes me so happy. So let's look at their abilities. So they have Deadly Demise and their faction rule, obviously. Impetuous Glory. Each time a model makes a charge move until the end of the turn, melee weapons equipped by this model have a sustained hits 1 ability. Oh, that's good. This is the guy with the chain glaive and the thermal spear. So that is a big deal. I am super happy with this. Sustained hits 1, especially on the sweep, is a big deal. It feels great. They also have -1 to hit. They're allowed their last 4 wounds, and they have a 5-up invulnerable save at. So they didn't change much with how knights are, other than their toughness. Otherwise, they feel pretty much the same. Let's look at the weapons for this guy. So he's got a regular meltagun on his head or the heavy stubber. Those are your 2 choices. So regular meltagun, we know that profile. The Questorius heavy stubber is rapid fire 3 with 3 base attacks, hit on 3s, string 4, -1 damage. So decent options for the head gun. This is like the secondary gun that they have, but thermal spear, this is a big deal. So 24 inches, 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 12, -4, d6 damage, and Melta 4. Melta 4, my guys. You get within 12 inches, all of a sudden you're doing d6 plus 4 damage. Oof, that's a big punch from such a little guy. And strength 12 is really great for those mid-sized vehicles or monsters like the T10 guys where you're wounding on 3s. I like it a lot. That is a big blaster that he's got going on. So his melee weapon is the Reaper Chain Cleaver. So he has a strike or sweep mode on it. So the strike mode that you can choose is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, strength 10, -3 damage. So there's your big chops against 2 or 3 wound things. Or you have the sweep, which is 8 attacks hitting on 3s, strength 8, -2, 1 damage. Both seem like really good modes. I like that the Reaper Chain Cleaver actually has some play against a lot of these T8, T10, like mid-sized dreadnoughts and vehicles and monsters and stuff like that. But it's also got the sweep attack dealing with hordes, because I have a feeling hordes might be a thing in this edition, because I think the points on a lot of these smaller guys are going to be real low, and you're going to be taking a lot of them, which I like. So overall, a big fan of the Armiger Warglaive. I like the basic stat line. Dirt Controlled 8 is amazing. I'll get my Chaos Knights out, and I will play with them. All right, guys. So let's look at another one. Let's look at Canis Rex. This is the named Imperial Knights character. This is the one where he's such a cool dude that when his knight dies, he actually hops out as an infantry model. He can run around the table, which, again, is hilarious. So movement 10. So that means that the medium guys are moving 10 inches, which I don't know how I feel about that, because they used to move 12. I hope it's not just this guy, but we'll look at that later. T12, he's tough boy. 3-up save, 22 wounds, 5-up leadership, and objective control 10. That's, again, a big objective control. Not like double what the little guys do, but objective control 10, that's taking objectives for most things. Knights are going to be dominating those objectives when they get on them. You're going to have to swarm the objective or kill a thing to get objectives back from him. So core abilities at Deadly Demise D6. That's what the medium guys are going to explode D6. He has Super Heavy Walker, which has a whole set of rules that we will go into later. Legendary Freeblade. Once per turn, you can target this model with the stratagem for 0 CP. You can do so even if you have already targeted different units with the stratagem in the same phase. So I'm assuming they'll have rotate ion shields for the +1 invuln again. So doing that twice just because you have Canis Rex, like if they decide to shoot one of your other guys and they're like, oh crap, I need to do that. They're like, okay, well, we'll just change targets now. We'll shoot Canis Rex. No, for 0 CP, I'm also going to rotate my ion shields. Deal with it. I like it. Even just a free CP stratagem without even having to do anything else, even if you haven't used that one already, is a great ability to have. I like it. Each time this model makes an attack, unmodified hit roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. Again, that's great. I like it a lot. He's going to be doing a lot of damage. So when he has 1 to 7 wounds remaining, he's -1 to hit. Not a big deal. I like that these vehicles are not being as punished for being hurt. So like before we used to have 3 tiers and it'd be really bad. Like my Soul Grinder had a real tough time this last weekend at a tournament because he was like hitting on 5s all of a sudden. And when he was at like 5 wounds or whatever, being in the last bracket and just losing 1 to hit is not a huge deal. I like it. So let's look at his weapons. So these are going to be like some specialty weapons that he has. So it's not going to be very relevant for the other knights, but when we get the Chaos Knights, we'll be looking at a lot of the weapons that the Imperial Knights and the Chaos Knights are able to carry on a lot of their chassis. So Chainbreaker Las Impulsor has 2 modes. It has a high intensity or low intensity. The high intensity has blast that sustained hits 1. It's 24-inch range with D6 attacks, hitting on twos. Hitting on twos, by the way, but it is a named character, so he's hitting a lot. Strength 14, -3, 4 damage. Big bada boom. Let's take some chunks out of some things. All right, guys? And then the low intensity is blast sustain hits 1 also. 36-inch range, so it does shoot further. 2d6 attacks. Hitting on 2, strength 7, -1, 2 damage. So that is a big profile against like marine equivalents, like 2 wound things. That's gonna hurt some things. And then he has a multi-laser. The Chainbreaker multi-laser, sustain hits 1, 36-inch range, 4 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 6, AP0, 1 damage. A great extra gun just to have against hordes. I like it. Melee weapons, he has the Freedom Hand, which has 2 modes as well. I like that this guy has so many options for fighting. So, you got the Strike and the Sweep. The Strike has sustained hits 1, 5 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 20, -3, 9 damage. That's a lot. That's a lot of damage, my guys. Knights only get their invulnerable saves on ranged attacks. Getting into combat with a knight and just doing 9 damage chunks. Even these medium knights, you're wounding on 3s. Against the little guys, you're doing wounding on 2s. But like with 5 attacks, that's 9. Flat 9 is a lot. There's been a lot of D6 plus 3, but this is just flat 9. Oof. And then the Sweep, which also has sustained hits 1, is 10 attacks, hit on 2, strength 10, -2, 3 damage. Now you want to talk about an anti-Terminator profile. Take them to a 4-up, wounding them on 2s, hitting them on 2s with 10 attacks and sustained hits. So that's like an extra 2 hits. You're on average getting 9, 10 hits. And doing 3 damage apiece, you're just swatting Terminators away. I like this guy's weapons a lot. I'm not an Imperial Knights player, but I like this guy. I like his weapons. Maybe I'll steal him for one of my knights. So let's look at some other weapons they showed off. So we got the Thunder Coil Harpoon. This is the giant harpoon that one of the big knights get to carry. Anti-monster and anti-vehicle 4+. So always wounding on a 4+ against other big things. Again, that's great. For a single shot weapon, I like it. And it's also got devastating wounds. You get that 6 to wound, oh, it's gonna hurt. Because look at this profile. 18-inch range. First of all, that harpoon shoots really far now. 1 attack, 1 opportunity. Hitting on 2, strength 24. That's wounding knights on 2s. It's wounding knights on 2s, my guys. AP -6, 12 damage. That's a lot of damage. That chunks a knight in more than half. It kills an armiger in 1 shot. That's a big profile. You want to one-shot a rhino? That's how you one-shot a rhino. You impale it with a harpoon. So let's look at the rapid-fire battle cannon, which comes on some of the Imperial chassis. It is blast, rapid-fire, D6 plus 3. That is an interesting So let's look at the rapid fire battle cannon. It has blast and rapid fire D6 plus 3. That's a very interesting rapid fire profile. But as you notice, the attacks are D6 plus 3 also. So you basically get double shots, but it ends up being 2d6 plus 6. That's a lot of shots within, what is that, 48 inches? That's not what it is. 36. So let's talk about the rapid fire battle cannon. This thing is a monster of a gun. It has blast and rapid fire D6 plus 3. So that's a weird rapid fire profile to have, but it basically tells you that you have double the shots on your regular shots. So you have D6 plus 3 in the regular attack profile. So 72-inch range. That is 36 inches rapid fire. 36 inches is not very hard to do, my guys. That's usually the opponent's deployment zone line if you're in the backfield. If you're on your line, you're going to get that rapid fire a lot. D6 plus 3 or rapid fire 2d6 plus 6. Whoo. Hitting on 3. Strength 10, -1, 3 damage. I hope the Knights have more anti-infantry stuff to deal with hordes because their 2 to 3 damage or their big anti-vehicle damage is locked in. It seems really good. I like these guys a lot. as long as their survivability is up there, they're going to do some work in this edition. I like it. So let's look at the stratagem. Shoulder the burden. Awesome name, by the way, for Imperial Knight. Using your command phase when one Imperial Knights model from your army has lost one or more wounds. Until the start of your next command phase, improve the model's move, toughness, save, leadership, and objective control characteristics by 1. And each time your model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Wow. You can only use the stratagem once per battle, and if your army is honored, you can use the stratagem one additional time. So another one of those, get a bonus for being honored. So, guys, use this in your command phase to basically give your guy extra move, extra toughness, extra save, extra leadership, extra objective controlled, and +1 to hit. That's a lot of bonuses, my guys. Like, the plus toughness will only come up in other anti-tank fire, but the move, save. So you're on a 2-up save on most of your knights, like your small and medium guys. That's a big deal. And +1 to hit. Oof, man, they're going to do some damage. This is 2 CP, well worth it. And by the way, you use this on the Canis Rex for 0 CP. So you can use it on a regular guy and use it on him at the same time. Being honored is going to be a big deal. All of a sudden, your knights that are left are going to do a ton of damage, and I love it. So, let's look at one more. Trophy Claim. This is another stratagem that you get access to. Use it in your shooting phase or fight phase. You target one Imperial Knight model from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase, and one enemy monster or vehicle unit. I already like where this is going. Let's hunt some things down. Until the end of the phase, each time a model makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to wound roll. If your model destroys that enemy unit this phase, you gain 1 CP. But if your model does not destroy that enemy unit this phase, you cannot use this stratagem again for the rest of the battle. So, high risk, high reward. You get +1 to wound against it, but you get to choose at the shooting or fight phase. So, +1 to wound on knight weapons is a gigantic deal. Like, that's taking most things from 3s to 2s. And if you're pretty much guaranteed to kill it, you get to use this again later, and you get your CP back. But you better make sure you kill it, or you're out of luck. You're not going to get access to this again. I love this stratagem. I want to use it every turn to kill all the big things. Super cool ability. I love it. And that's going to be it for me today, guys. I had a lot of fun talking to Imperial Knights, even though they're the good guys. Those Imperial guys over there. But we'll be talking about Chaos Knights real soon, and I will get very giddy about all my specialty knights that I have and all the unique chassis that I get, and I will have a lot to talk about when that comes out. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Really helps me justify everything that I'm doing and really helps me feel better about myself, honestly. Like, I love looking at all the numbers on the channel, and you guys are the best. You know that? You're the best. You guys, the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and I'll catch you guys next time.